You boys know what's about to happen to you. You leave now.
Some consider these traits to be toxic, such as undesirable in the men of today. We consider these traits such as these not only to be desirable, but to be appreciated and celebrated. Welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, hosted by and La Reina Creole. Welcome to the safe space for the toxic male.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Lorena Creole, and with me down there, of course, is my wing woman, of positive fandom, and of a network, and of course, this is the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, where we appreciate you, toxic males out there, and especially these actors who have played some toxic male parts that we just love to talk about. And you guys, you put up with us talking, talking about these guys, and I've so been looking forward to talking about Ryan Gosling today. How are you, my dear?
I am doing well. So happy to be here. I am excited to talk about Ryan. Hope you're doing well too, Lorena. What a fantastic actor, and what a year Ryan Gosling is having.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are going to have so much fun going through a little bit of Ryan Gosling's filmography. But before we actually get to that, of course, I'm going to show this because I am just 100% obsessed. Of course, which is Unstoppable Kennergy. How did Ryan Gosling steal the Barbie movie? And I want to say, you don't know. I mean, is it just me? And you saw the Barbie movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So with someone like Ryan Gosling, who has some of the best comedic timing in the business, were you really that surprised?
I was not surprised, and oh my gosh, he's just like a piece of walking eye candy. I couldn't take my
Yes.
eyes off of this man. And then they put him in these shirts where he's like, everything's always open and you can see his chest, and he always has a smile on his face, and he's chipper and he's fun. I love him as Ken. I just think this is I think he might get nominated for this role. I'm feeling the Kenergy. I think he's Kenough. I love what he's done for Ken. He's made all my Ken's wishes and dreams come true, Lorena.
Well, I gotta tell you, same here. He looks great. I just couldn't help but smile every time I saw him on screen. My issues with the movie aside, his acting was not one of them. I mean, he's wearing like the fur coat, he's doing the pull-ups on the pull-up bar. Even when he's throwing Barbie's clothes at her. And just the dance numbers and everything. But
Lorena, I knew that these actors were talented. We've always known that. Like, obviously, 20 something years in the business, he's talented. The cast is talented. But Lorena, I wasn't expecting to see full dance numbers like this. It was like a musical. It was like something that you would see from a 1950s matinee show. This could be on Broadway. It's so cool, and the music is so much fun, and the sequences are fun. This was an effort for it, and it had to be flawless. It had to be just right. It couldn't be like one person going overboard. Everybody matched everything. It was a group effort, but certainly a lot of attention was focused on this Ken character, and he played it to a T.
he absolutely did. I loved seeing him, and again with his acting chops, anybody else. I mean, granted, it was nice seeing Simu Liu and everything, but there was just more of a dimension with Ryan Gosling as one of the Kens, as opposed to like the other Kens. There seemed to be, more, definitely more to him, and I think that is a testament about his acting experience. So we are going to delve into a bit more about Ryan Gosling. So, born Ryan Thomas Gosling on November 12th, 1980. Hey, Scorpio like me. He was born in London, Ontario, Canada, and his ancestry is French Canadian. Lord, we might be related. That's a very small Asian community. So could be. I'm going to look. So he is, he's Canadian. Let's see. He performed as a singer in talent contests. He auditioned in Montreal for the all new Mickey Mouse Club. Was that the one that Britney Spears was in?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
I think so. That sounds very familiar. I think Britney Spears was in that one. But anyway,
Justin was with them, so he was in the Mickey Mouse Club. So it must be the same
yes.
one. Yeah.
Okay. I thought so. But Ryan is one of those people where he has not had any formal acting training. So apparently he was in Young Hercules, Breaker High, which I've never seen, Slaughter Rule 2002, Murder by Numbers, which is another film that I haven't seen, but a film that I did see him in was Remember the Titans. And wow, I gotta say, I really wish that Disney would go back. Side note, they would go back to making these amazing films. This was such a great film when it came out and got so much critical acclaim.
It really did. It had a lot of attention, and certainly, of course, Denzel Washington plays the coach at this school. But it did get a lot of acclaim, and it was a beautiful film. It was wonderful, and I think that Disney does need to return back to this formula of making satisfying films that are made for the purpose of let's say applying a moralistic view of doing the right thing and things of that nature, because it works. People want to see stories where people are doing the right thing, and having a payoff from it. So, I think a film like this is exactly what is needed now. I think that's why, The Sound of Freedom is doing well, and other films like that. All they have to do is get back on track.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think I just saw him in
Yeah.
brief snippet, but we're gonna find him down here. His character is Alan Bosley. So pop this up. Oh my goodness, he looks young. Woo!
Child there.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Yeah.
He's in his goofy before he was hot phase. He's still cute, but you could tell. Come on.
Yeah, you can tell he's turned into a prince here, certainly. And it's very interesting. We're talking about 20 years ago, or over 20 years ago. And he looks relatively the same for someone who's in his 40s, Lorena.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just wow. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this movie again, because again, the whole cast was good. You have Denzel Washington leading it, and just seeing this young man's acting chops, in 2000 is just great. Again, you can't get any more toxic male than football. Come on now.
True, very true. And like you and I both said, the United States loves their football, and they love
Mm-hmm.
football movies, and this is no exception.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, folks, that is Remember the Titans from year 2000. Ryan Gosling is in it. It also stars Denzel Washington and others. Great, great football movie. So, we go from that one to a movie that I thought was overhyped. And here's the reason why. I'm not a fan really of Nicholas Sparks' books. They all seem to be very, very formulaic. He has his fans. That genre has its fans. It's like, I want to say, the Hallmark Channel formula.
This is totally the Hallmark Channel formula as a Hallmarkaholic that I am. And my biggest fear of the strike that's going on now was that it would mean we wouldn't have a Hallmark Christmas. So you knew that the fear of God was put in me when I heard
Mhm.
stop filming in Canada. I was like, what? But what about Hallmark Christmas? They've been advertising having Christmas in July. This is totally a romantic film, and it is one of his best performances. And you're right, it is very formulaic, and it is very, hallmarky. And that's why it was so popular, I think, because it was very formulaic and hallmarky. And, you don't figure out till the end, this is not a spoiler alert. You don't figure out till the end that the
Mhm.
older people are them. And he's telling his wife that because she has Alzheimer's. Oh my gosh, this is so formulaic. Yes, it is. But oh my gosh, people loved this. I loved it. I loved the passion between him and the leading lady. I thought he was high. He was really hot in this. Like he just let it all went for it. And I liked that about the character he played. So even though everybody did everything to keep them apart, and then the war happened, all these things happened.
Mhm.
It was really, really romantic. And the Notebook, of course, is the notebook that he made for her so she can remember that they fell in love. And
Mhm.
was. And of course, there's a payoff scene at the end where the older woman is there in the nursing home. She goes, "Oh my gosh, it's me and you. Oh my gosh, you're the man I love." And it's like so sweet because every day he has to do the story, you see, to
Mhm.
remind her. And ironically, I think at the end of the film, they end up dying at the same time.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
certainly is very, very impressive. And then even the mother, even the mother has somebody she liked. I just saw a glimpse of the mother in this, and the mother drives by some construction site to watch some construction work. And I'm like, what is this woman? What is this lady up to? And it's like, oh, that's her love. She never forgot the guy. But yes, it is very hallmarky. This is totally, hallmarky. So if you do not like Hallmark, chances are this may not be the film for you. However, his performance in this was great. He was wonderful in this. And I do remember this film very well. And yeah, I've watched it about a bazillion times. So
You know what? It is without a doubt an unapologetic chick flick, y'all.
yes.
It is as much as I talk about how formulaic it is, or if you're not balling by the end of the sucker, you have no soul.
Yeah.
After you to her, and of course she's like, "Oh, I remember, it's you and me," and all of that. And for a brief moment, she remembers that this man is her husband, the man that she loves so much, until the disease comes forth again and she acts like she doesn't know her husband. And he is just devastated that she doesn't know him. And then that's when it hits you that the Notebook isn't just a story that he's telling. There's a reason for that story. Like you were saying, reading the Notebook brings back the woman that he loves to him. I'm just like, oh goodness, I'm so mad. I'm crying right now. I hate this darn movie for coming at me like that. But Ryan Gosling he was really good in this. And Remember the Titans, I hadn't really seen him before, so it was kind of okay. He had a smaller part, but this movie is, I believe, the one that really put him into the eye of the eye of Hollywood, where he's playing, you know, this man who is not ashamed to say that he is in love, with this lady, and just the writing throughout the whole thing. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying about modern films really missing the mark when it comes to showing relationships, because not everything is roses. They have good times, they have bad times, but you still see that love between the two, between the two of them. And it doesn't make him any less masculine at all in the way that he goes and that he does it. And in a strange twist, his way of protecting her is bringing her out of the Alzheimer's when he goes there and he reads the notebook, you know, um, to her. Ugh, tell you this. I freaking hate this dude for doing that.
And the
Doing
love
that
scenes
to
are
me.
good too. Like they're really. Is it Rachel McAdams? There's some
Yes,
hot love scenes in this too.
there are. There really
Which
are.
is great. I love hot love scenes. This is another film where he's kissing somebody. Ironically, in the Barbie film, he kisses Barbie, even though it's not returned. But even so, like there's this thing about him that I think his character always seems to get these involved in with a romantic partner, and I kind of like that he goes for roles like that.
Absolutely. I do too. I love, 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 love the Notebook. It's
He's
such a
holding
fun,
her really tight, Lorena. He's holding her tight.
just like you me. I'm like, I hate this dark formulaic movie, but I can't stop watching it. I love it. I said I absolutely flipping love it. Oh, but the next movie, the next one, which I think absolutely plays to his strength, which is one of my favorites, Crazy Stupid Love. I laughed so darn hard watching this movie. Um, I'm just kidding. You please just stop talking. Shut up. This movie is too funny. Steve Carell is in it. Julianne Moore, is in it. Emma Stone is in it. When Emma's like looking at Ryan Gosling, is like she's like, "Oh my god, you're like wow, you're like a mannequin." Oh, you touch that or not. But he does. He plays this guy who I think he's like a his friend. He's got like his swinging friend, which is Ryan Gosling, and of course Steve Carell. He's this middle-aged guy, and he's just like, he's going through. His wife asked him for a divorce, and he kind of just feels like he's not worth anything. Like he's not man enough. So he meets his new friend, who is the epitome of a player, and it is hilarious the situations that they get. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the locker scene. That was hilarious. Ugh. But you get Ryan Gosling in this one, and he goes from the player to actually, spoiler, falling in love with Emma Stone.
Mm-hmm. He's just too good. I love, like I said, that he picks roles where he's always in this romance or with somebody or kissing somebody. I mean, thank you, Ryan, for doing for taking these roles. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see him play these romantic leads. And he does it well. He does it so well. I love it. He really is especially good at it. Because he always has a look on his face like, we are going to hang out later, right?
So, this is the scene I remember. She's like,
yeah.
Just.
And 20 years later, 12 years later, he still has it. He's still got it. He's still ripped.
Oh, yeah.
He keeps himself fit. He seems very young. He doesn't seem like an older person now, even, or let's say even in his 40s. He seems very young and hip, and he's kept a lot of that. He's very attractive. He handles himself well. Look at him. You're kind of James Bondish almost.
I freaking love this. He is so alpha in this, in this movie, and it's so hilarious seeing him play against Steve Carell, who's kind of like, I don't really feel really like masculine anymore. And he's like, "You do, my friend. Come on. I'm gonna whip you into shape.
We'll get you back on track, bro.
Yeah, your mojo back. This is what you need to do. Blah blah blah. Don't get too invested. Just, it's so funny, and
it's also kind of interesting too, because that might have been the cutoff where people were still going out and dating in person, and there was that where people would still do that versus going to all dating apps, and where it feels like that's taken over. But I don't feel that way with this film.
No, this film, if you want to remember, kids, what it was like before dating apps, go and you see a film like this, a film where it didn't make light of relationships between men and women. It didn't make men look stupid or inept or ashamed for going for what they wanted. It was comedy, but comedy in good fun. It wasn't mean-spirited, comedy at all. It's I can't even really describe it. I didn't think I was gonna like this movie. I think I watched it like on a Showtime or something like that. I didn't have anything to watch. I'm like, he looks hot. Okay, we'll go ahead and watch it. I laughed throughout this darn movie. It was great. So not PC. And just to see that progression of a man who goes from, hey, no woman could hold me down, to, wow, is this what it's like to actually be in love with somebody, And God, he looks good half naked. I'm just okay. Forgive me, but yes, he does.
Yes, he really does keep himself fit, and it's important to him. And he's almost perfect. I mean, he's not. His physique seems very natural. It doesn't feel like he's been using substances or anything like that.
Yeah,
100% natural. It's really him. What you see is what you get. There's no augmentation or anything, and I do also like that about him. Yeah,
I do. He just looks straight up natural, and it's just wonderful, isn't it? I'm trying to see if I can find some. Yeah, I remember this one too. Oh my! Again, if you okay, gentlemen. So if you want to watch something that's technically a chick flick, but there's so many testosterone fueled jokes in it that you're going to enjoy, because you're going to be laughing like, dude, I can't believe he just went and did that. Watch this movie, Crazy Stupid Love. Ryan Gosling. If I look back, this is probably where, now that I think about it, where he kind of, well, I would say, got into the character of Ken, because Ken is just the doll version of this guy right here, and I forget the name of the character.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't call him that guy.
I think you make a good point, and certainly,
Jacob.
That's right. I agree with you.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I'm gonna run this.
Do you know what the greatest thing about America is?
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna let this run, and then I'm gonna clip it out.
Okay. This has always been my company.
Company we created together.
Can I go? The Beanie Bubble, rated R.
Okay, heard about that.
Oh, I'm so full. Want to split a dessert?
I'm trying to think about what I want.
Why don't you say it at the same time? 1, 2, 3.
I want a divorce.
That is just exactly the part that makes this movie so darn funny, and it just goes from there.
When we're done, this wife of yours, she's gonna rue the day she ever decided to give up on you. Did you sleep with me?
Jesus, God.
Yeah, probably.
He's
You
like,
would?
He looks good. He looks like a professor or something, right? Like
he does. It's so funny. I'm probably gonna get claimed for that, but we'll fix it later. You just have to see it. And they all I'm sorry, go ahead, my dear.
No, I agree 100%. Like I said, this is one of those films that I feel before things became too social media based. This might be one of the few films that was left that it was like real dating, the fun, the agony, and the ecstasy of real dating.
Yes, the stuff that happens, and the stuff that's like, I wish it didn't happen, and like, oh God, this is what I have to deal with. But it's such a fun movie. Like I said, if somebody tries to get you to watch a chick flick, supposedly, this is another one, which is actually, it's more of a guy movie than it is a female. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. Yes, I would agree. Yes, it's yeah, it's a fantastic film, and you actually feel sorry for Steve Carell's character in the film. I just felt sorry that it seemed like he was a nice guy, and there's no reason why anybody should be leaving him. But unfortunately, these things do happen. So
Yeah. Just wait till you see the dinner scene at the house. That's all I'm gonna say. Holy I may pull that movie up tonight because it's so darn funny. But we go from a movie that is funny to one that is an action drama. Now, I have not seen Drive. Have you?
no, I haven't.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of this film at all. But when some people talk about Ryan Gosling, they'll bring up his performance in the movie Drive. They're like, "Have you seen this? Have you seen this?"
Really?
I'm like, "No, I haven't seen this one at all. I didn't even know that he actually did a drama, like this." So it says a mysterious Hollywood action film stuntman gets in trouble with gangsters when he tries to help his neighbor's husband rob a pawn shop while serving as his getaway driver.
Interesting.
That is that's a very interesting premise.
Yeah, stuntmen are cool. This is a from what we can see, let's say a stuntman who drives, that's even cooler.
Hmm. Yeah, I've known a couple of them. The one that are the drivers.
Oh wow.
They do some crazy ass stunts, between drive backwards and all those. Oh, that's a nice car. That's because it's a Mustang. Oh my gosh, and it's in Cali. See, he's driving backwards. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is one that I'm probably gonna have
We
to.
should do a watch party of this one.
We should for Drive, absolutely, because it just looks best director at Festival de Cannes. So it was at Cannes. Okay.
And there's kissing.
Yes. I think that's probably in his contract. Every film he has to kiss somebody. I'm totally down with that though.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks good.
Look at this. So much action,
And
drama.
7.8 is pretty high for the score.
Yeah,
Whew.
absolutely. But yeah, this is what I've heard for so many people telling me. They're just like, they're like, "Have you seen him in Drive? He was awesome." I'm like, "No, I didn't
No,
see
we
that.
haven't seen it. We got to see
Seen
this.
that one." So yes, we will definitely have to see Drive. This is very, very cool. Very cool. Bryan Cranston is in it, and I like seeing him as as well. So we'll go from that one to this film. Now, this is a film that I did not get to see all the way through. Was it 2016? I sometimes have an aversion to watching films that are set in Los Angeles because I lived there for 5 years. So it's like, I know where that is. I know where that is. I know where that is. I look at the post, I look at the movie poster here and I'm like, okay, that's off Mulholland Drive. It's that iconic, you see LA with all the lights and the mountains behind, but it's set in the typical story that I've seen time and time again. You have two people, they fall in love, they're in LA, and one person's career takes off, but the other one really doesn't. So, have you seen this one?
I have, and it was a huge hit. This was like one of the biggest hits at the time, and a huge success for him. And people still talk about this film, about it being one of their favorite films uh, of all time. And yeah, it is a good film. It's not one of my favorites, but it is certainly a good film. There's no doubt about it. And I like the film, but it's not one of my favorites. So I would recommend it to a person to see it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not up there on my list of must sees.
Yeah, I mean, I heard, I think they got a couple Oscar nods. Did
Hmm.
they
It
for this film?
Yeah, it did incredibly well, and it's a film that he's known for. I think it was fighting with the silent film. Wasn't there a silent film at the time that was
Hmm.
competing with them for the awards? And it says that the budget was 30 million, but it made 447 million.
Yeah.
So that's huge. Let's see. It says
Yeah.
it's 7 nominations at the Golden Globes and received
Mhm.
11 nominations at the BAFTAs, winning 5, including Best Film. The film also received a record-tying 14 nominations at the 89th Academy Awards, winning 6 categories, including Best Actress for Stone and Best Director for Chazelle.
Ah, okay. Okay. Yeah, this was one where I heard so much buzz about it, but again, I'm just like, I used to live there. I hear stories from people all the time. I'm like, it doesn't really seem like it was my thing, but it made a lot of money. Again, another thing that just like gave Ryan Gosling more star power. So if you like this type of story, it's probably for you. But I know for me, I was just like, yeah, it's okay.
It
Uh,
reminded me
uh,
of, and I hope I'm saying the right one, Mulholland Falls. Is that the one with Naomi Watts, um, about
which
Hollywood as well? Am I saying the right one?
was it, Mulholland Falls or Mulholland Drive? I don't.
It might be Mulholland Drive. Let me just
Mm,
check. But it reminded me so much of that film.
hmm
Yeah, it's Mulholland Drive. Thank you, Lorena. From 2001. It really reminded me of it, and but also another film that got a lot of attention um, overall.
hmm
But
Okay, yeah, I do. I remember that, and I
another
think
film about people trying to make it in Hollywood.
2001. Yeah, that was another movie that opened while I was living in LA. I'm just like, why do I want to watch this movie when I already live it? But for the general movie going public, LA is very glamorous. So that is something that they like to see. So completely understandable. So yeah, La La Land, you can watch it on Netflix. I would probably just watch it just to watch Ryan Gosling, and that'd
Yeah,
be it.
yeah, and certainly a lot. It doesn't. It's not one of my favorites. Doesn't mean that it isn't a great film. A lot of people love this film, and I give them credit for loving it. But it's I didn't care for this film.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear
But
you.
I
I
like
hear
Ryan
you.
Gosling.
Yes, like I do. It's like he looks good. We can watch him. We can watch him, which brings me to another film that I am kicking myself that I have not had the chance to watch. Heard so much about it, had actually made a mental note saying, "Hey, I want to watch this film," and I don't know what the heck happened, but that would be the movie First Man
Yeah, I haven't seen this
about
either.
about Neil Armstrong and his life and the legendary mission that led him to become the first man to walk on the moon, July 20th, 1969. So this is another one of those biopics like Oppenheimer, where there are these men that you hear from history. I think is Neil Armstrong still alive? I think he is.
Um,
I think he is because he's a congressman, or was he?
who was the first
Oh,
person?
maybe not.
Maybe it was
Oh, yeah, he died in 2012. Wow, am I off? Uh, wow. Okay, so he died in 2012. They made this one in 2018. So pretty much what I was thinking about still stands. He is one of the. I mean, he got to walk on the moon, and if you remember, and I'm sure you do, we were talking about when we were watching The Crown, and Prince Charles invited them to Buckingham Palace. It's like Neil Armstrong did something that no one had ever done, and that was to be the first man on the moon. But that's what we know in the news. But it's like, what makes a man want to, or anyone want to become an astronaut? So this intrigues me because again, it's another dramatic role, and I am curious as to how Ryan Gosling plays this off.
this character. Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm curious too. And I didn't know they made a movie about Neil Armstrong. So that's the first thing.
Oh
We always
wow.
see him in other films where he's, a character or but yeah, that is I'd love to see this film. I'd love to see this and I've got to watch it. It's yeah, that's amazing. This is obviously one of the most famous astronauts in history. I'd love to see Ryan Gosling's take on this.
I sure would because man, from everything that I have heard, especially from my years working at NASA, and even when I drive down to Cocoa Beach or whatever, astronauts were like rock stars, literally. I was watching some documentary and they were just like, are you an astronaut? Okay, I'll give you a car. They were literally like rock stars, that they've been places that no one else, had really been. So I would love to see how Ryan. Look at this. I love this. Look
I,
at
I
that.
I wonder if Neil Armstrong is a character who asks the woman in Hidden Figures to do the calculations before he's about to go up in space. I don't know if it's him, but
I think it is.
and he goes, "Can you check that for me? Can you check the figures just to double check? I don't want to end up in the wrong place."
Hmm.
I mean, it is very
Yes.
interesting.
Yes, it was Neil
It
Armstrong
was
because they
him.
were going to the moon, and heard they want to take us to the moon.
Can you double check that for me?
Yeah.
I don't know what these guys are talking about, but I
Mhm.
trust you
Yeah.
to get me there and get me back home.
Hmm. Yeah. The operative word being back home, because with this particular Apollo mission, this was the first Apollo mission to get off the ground, if I remember correctly. Um, what was it?
I don't
I
remember
think
which one it
I'm
is.
trying to remember the one before this one. I think were they Apollo 10? Dang it, it's been forever. But the one Apollo mission that unfortunately it blew up on the launch pad, and 3 astronauts were killed, and they had to start back from square one. So that is the mindset of what Neil Armstrong had to deal with. They had not gotten off the ground yet, and the first attempt was disastrous.
Aw.
So it was a lot of pressure. I'm like embarrassed because I wrote a whole darn paper in high school about the space race and getting us to the moon, but it wasn't guaranteed. You had people who died in that, and it's just like how are we going to do this? We need to get to the moon before the Soviets do.
And I'm guessing, and I'm not entirely sure, but you probably know that yes, they are astronauts, but many of these guys were also pilots on different types of planes as well. So they've
Yes.
already been doing dangerous tests, like they've been doing dangerous flights, all sorts of stuff where they're pushing the limits.
Mhm.
And then, let's say hypothetically speaking, this one is perhaps their most dangerous version, but they've already been doing that their whole lives as pilots, in addition to a space mission, which test the abilities of all the scientists and engineers and the pilot together. But certainly to see the rest of everything he's accomplished as well would be interesting too.
Very much so, and especially as with the airspace, they're familiar with that. But now we're going somewhere else. We're leaving Earth's atmosphere, something we've never done. And you're right, a lot of the skills that they had as pilots, because that's where they recruited from, were from the fighter pilots in the space program. It's something completely different. And it's just like, are we gonna be able to make it back home? Because you tell them, yeah, we're gonna take your space capsule and we're gonna slingshot that sucker around the moon to make it speed up. And it's like, really? That's what you're gonna do? But again, such a historic period, and I would love to see Ryan Gosling's portrayal in this. One of the most toxic masculine achievements in history. Get
Yes,
to the darn moon.
absolutely. And I also love to see all the men in the control room all dressed like with their white shirts and their ties, and
Oh, that is oh my gosh.
I love
Yes.
it.
This is how we could tell when I worked at Start. You could tell the ones that have been there since the space program and the ones who we were fairly new engineers, because we're just like, yeah, whatever, business casual, sitting down, whatever. And they come in and that straight laced everything. We're just like, you're one of those.
You can tell. Look at them. They're
Yeah.
serious, and I love that. And the guy in the last row in the middle was
Mhm.
in Oppenheimer. Do you remember he was one of the guys at the table questioning Oppenheimer? I can't remember his name.
Yes, I'm blanking on his name, but he was in the security clearance review.
Yes.
Inquisition, I'll call it. But yes, I did not know that. Good eye.
Yeah, and
Good eye.
there's one other film that I want to mention, Lorena. There's one other film.
Which
Blade
one?
Runner 2049. Have you seen
You read my mind. Now, this was a film that I did not want to see.
it? Mm-hmm.
And I think we've talked about it on the show, because for me, Ridley Scott's Blade Runner is the GOAT. Nothing can touch it. There's absolutely nothing like it. And it's like for someone to go and redo it, I'm just like, I don't think I'm cool with that. But people are like, yeah, you have to see it. I'm like, okay, fine. I will watch it because Dune was coming up in the theater. So I wanted to see exactly what kind of director Denis Villeneuve was. And it's just like, what is his take going to be on something as classic as Ridley Scott's Blade Runner? And Ryan Gosling's performance in this hooked me from the beginning. And I didn't quite expect that. And I'm like, wow, this is definitely not the guy in Crazy Stupid Love, but I guess he is. The one in the Notebook, but kind of, but not really, but what I saw, his acting was stellar. um I did not like Deckard being a darn replicant. I got so many issues with that, but that aside, loved his acting in this.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling shined in this film, and it was a hard act to follow. The first one, it was almost impossible. How are you
Yeah.
going to follow a film that was so perfect, so popular with fans, spurred the cyberpunk movement,
Mhm.
everything under the sun? How do you do that? And there was a lot of very specific things that were done in Blade Runner 2049 that I really loved and continue to look at in fascination. And certainly, I think you would need a director like Villeneuve to do this, to see this point of view, because things have changed now. Like, let's say the
Mhm.
evolution of these replicants, which humans are so scared of,
Mhm.
certainly was something that was going to have to be dealt with. And the twist, of course, of the surprise about one of the replicants, which I loved that they did that. But also Ryan Gosling's character, who doesn't know, starts to question his origins. And
Yeah.
that was also very, very good. And you didn't know what was going to happen. And it was a mystery. You were solving this mystery along with him. Certainly it was like this fun discovery. And I always say, thought it was kind of interesting in the sense that this fear of these replicants, but also the fact that humans, on the off world, this is what I believe is happening. Not on Earth, but on the off world, humans are opting for replicants versus other humans. That's what I think is happening on a regular basis. So
Hmm.
yeah, and so when there's a scene in the movie where someone is on Earth buying some replicants.
Yes, I do remember that one. Yeah.
And she's like, I know what kind of model you'll prefer.
Mhm.
Why don't you go with this one? And it's like, she's picking a life companion. She's not just picking a model. She's picking replicants, and that's probably what she lives with primarily. And, there's a lot of these contingencies about replicants. They've become now maybe the perfect version of a human, I think. And that might be, let's say if they were to ever make another Blade Runner,
Mhm.
it would be a question about that. And of course, Anna de Armas is stunning in this film. And
Yes.
I really love the notion, of course he's in love with her, but I really love the notion of trying to figure out whether I could accept a hologram as a real person. And
Mhm.
someone did point out to me that the holograms have the same CPUs as the replicants do, but it's a hologram. And then we have this transition where she suddenly becomes, I love that character too, where she suddenly becomes a physical, he tries to get her a physical form. It means so much to
Yeah.
her to do that. And this lady, she is a special replicant. She's not like the other replicants, but she's terrified of the boss who's taken over
Yeah.
for the corporation. I can't remember what his name is just now, but let's just say the Tyrell, was it the Tyrell Corporation? I don't remember.
Yes. Tyrell Corporation.
And this new boss, who's played by that guy who's fantastic, I remember his name now. He's terrifying. When he pulls that replicant down like it didn't even matter, and then kills and slays the replicant. It's terrifying what he's done in his approach to it. And he's almost a symbiote himself. The line between being fully human, being fully symbiote, and and then of course that character who is sort of like a sex therapist. They have sex therapists, today, for people who can't do certain sexual functions, but they want to please their partner. And they do have people who do this, like sex surrogates in a sense. And it is it's a legitimate business. They're not sort of like prostitutes or anything. They are people who assist couples in doing stuff like this. And so that's what she does. And it certainly is, Lorena, very, very serious. This woman wants to please the person she cares about. And you start to realize, like, this is very real. I have this weird feeling about replicants that are holograms, even though they have the same CPU. So I guess I have some CPU issues. I have CPU issues. I admit it.
Well, this was definitely a film that I did. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It went in a different direction, which I could understand and could appreciate. And I honestly have to say, if it wasn't for Ryan Gosling, I probably wouldn't have I probably would not have entertained this film at all. But again,
he really made a difference in the film, and that's exactly why you want to have him in films like that. And certainly going forward, I think his future, he's shining so bright right now. You guys better get out of the way, because Ryan Gosling is about to take over.
Yes, and if you think it's just film, he is with his song "I'm Just Ken." Oh my gosh, that is probably up there. Not quite the Peaches song from Jack Black in Super Mario Brothers, but I think it's going to be close. What do you think?
Yeah, I love stuff like this, Lorena, where he is, suddenly now, and of course he's always been a performer. He was a musician already, but I love things like this. I think it is so clever. The notion that he now also has a hit record. And the other thing too about the Barbie film, as I said, I didn't know it was going to be so much singing and dancing with those performers. They're all so talented. And it makes me want to see them do more musicals. I want to see this crew do another performance. I want to see them on Broadway. I want to see the musical. I want to see the play. I want to see all this fun stuff. I'm not surprised that I'm Just Ken has climbed up the charts.
Oh yeah.
You and I talked about getting the album, right? You're getting the album.
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah. I already started listening to part of the album, although I'm loving the Nicki Minaj version of Aqua's Barbie Girl. I did. That's gonna stick in my head for a long time. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Toxic Male Appreciation, talking about Ryan Gosling. Certainly hope you enjoyed your time with us. And please tell the people where they can find you.
Absolutely, guys. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Positive Fandom, where I do gaming, I do movie reviews. I also have my show on Sundays called Sunday Brunch. And you and I are going to be doing our live Outlander watch party right after this.
Yes.
The next two episodes, which we've been enjoying immensely. And you can also find me on the Brit Network. Lorena and I do a show on the Brit Network called Ladies of the PGS on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern. You can also find me here, obviously, on Reina Creole's channel, and sometimes on the 1/6 Scale Man Network. Tonight, you're going to find me also on the Brit Network doing PGS Treks at 10, followed by Midnight Musing, guys. So please do check it out and like and subscribe to Positive Fandom. And thank you, Lorena, so much for having me here to talk about Ryan Gosling, who has just been so incredible. Oh, thank you, Ryan.
I know. Oh, God, he's so good. He's so gorgeous. He's so gorgeous. But yes, folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to Her of Positive Fandom. And of course, we will see you next time. Bye.